Hey everyone, my name is John Strandell. I'm a producer, songwriter, and mix engineer based in Nashville, Tennessee. Today I've got something really special planned. We're going to produce a complete track using only the Universal Audio Volt 276 USB recording studio, the SD1 dynamic microphone, and a pair of the SP1 condenser mics. So this little powerhouse, the Volt 276, is going to be at the heart of our production. One of the unique features for the 276 is right there in the name, 76. The interface shines with its 76 compressor, an innovative analog circuit inspired by UA's renowned 1176 limiting amplifier. With its 3 expertly designed presets, it's perfect for bringing out the punch and presence in vocals, guitars, or anything else you track through it. Today we'll be using it to add some polished compression to our recordings. Stay tuned to hear how it enhances our sound. And when you grab any Volt USB recording studio, you get Luna free, not to mention the UAD Essentials edition bundle. Luna is an incredibly intuitive digital audio workstation, and paired with the Volt 276, it's like having a professional studio right at your fingertips. For vocals and instruments, we'll be using the SD1 and SP1 mics. Whether you're recording vocals, guitars, or even percussion, these mics have you covered with top-notch clarity and color. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a twist. We're only using plugins from the UAD Essentials Edition bundle. So that means every sound, every effect, every tweak will be done using just these plugins. No third-party tools, just the essentials. So if you're excited to see how we can create a professional sounding track with just the gear that I mentioned, stick around. Let's dive right in.
It's worth it to bear it all and get nowhere. You're such an attention sucker, taking advantage of desperate lovers' life. I wanted you bad and you knew that. I wanted you bad and you used that. Will you come back running when it's convenient? Will your heart attack mine when yours is bleeding? I don't know what I'd say to you in the moment. I can't tell if you're my lover or an opponent. You're such an attention sucker, taking advantage of desperate lovers' lives. I wanted you bad and you knew that. I wanted you bad and you used that. Don't wanna waste more time.
So whenever we wrote this track, I had this piano line that I was playing as we were writing the song. And Luna has a plugin that comes with it called Shape. And Shape is basically a sample library that has multiple different types of instruments in it. It's got drums, percussion, bass, pads, leads, keys, organs, so on and so forth. Within Shape, there's also like 4 different layers that you can add, or parts, so I can add multiple different layers, but I'm starting with part 1, and I have this soft piano. So the soft piano by itself, this is what it sounds like. And that's what I was playing as we were writing the song. So I tracked that part. Here it is. Okay, and then what I did is I added a lot of compression wanted to like basically squash it. So I'm adding 2 layers of the LA2A right here. So let me just start with the 1 layer. Let's see what that sounds like. It's almost like crunchy, which is nice. I like it. And then I'm adding another one. That first layer, I have it on limiting. The second layer, I have it on compression. And then I'm using the Pultec. Again, this is all included in the UAD Essentials Edition bundle. So I'm attenuating the lows a pretty good bit. I've got this knob right here around 5. And then boosting the highs. And then for bass, I'm using the Polymax Synth. And it comes in later in the song. This is where it starts. So this is just a preset I made using 2 oscillators. I've got the chorus on it. I've got unison on it, so it's super wide. And then for the second layer, I'm using this triangle bass, also Polymax. Comes in later, right here. And then I also have this cut off at 152 hertz, so it's basically a sine wave. But that with the Reese bass, because, oh, by the way, on the Reese bass, I've got this Pultec pulled up, and I'm basically taking all the lows out. And then I'm using the triangle bass as my sub. Whenever there's like stereo bass happening, sometimes it kind of cancels itself out with some phasiness. So I just took all the low end out and then used the triangle bass to add all my sub information. So those 2 things together sound like this. So just the Reese bass by itself. Nice and fat, sounds great. Okay, moving on, I have this little motif thing happening. I'm using shape again. And so for shape, I've got this Dream piano patch pulled up, and it's in the poly section, which is like a synth section basically. And this is what it sounds like. And I'm actually using the effects built into shape. It comes with a bunch of different effects. It comes with delay, compression, or dynamics, harmonic stuff, so like distortion, filtering, modulation. I love this chorus analog. Basically, I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like a brigade to me, which I use on almost everything that I need chorus with. I've got the intensity pulled down a good bit. So let's pull the effects up on that really quick. So that's just with the delay and the sample itself. And then I'm doing some EQing, some compression. And then I have the UA pure plate on top of it, and I've got the reverb time cranked on it. So without the reverb. With. Sounds great. Nice and lush and washy. Perfect for this style. So then for keys, this lead keys patch I'm using, this one's a little bit more intricate. But for the left side, I'm using the Ravel LT. Great grand piano sound. Love it. I'm panning that all the way to the left. And I've got this Galaxy tape echo on it. I've got the feedback cranked, so it's almost not quite, but right on the edge of starting to oscillate. So it's almost like an infinite repeat. And then for the right side, I'm using the house piano, which you can also find in shape. This is under keys. And then I've got them pan hard left and hard right. And this is what they sound like together. Sounds great. Super wide. The delay is really nice. I'm not really having to add a bunch of like pads. All the wet effects are kind of doing my padding for me in this production. So let's hear all of this keys production together. So moving on to guitars, I'm really leaning a lot on the compression that's coming from the Volt 276. I have the compression button set to guitar, and I've got the gain cranked a pretty good bit. Here's guitars left and right by itself, and I'm really only doing some EQ to it, and that's about it. There's a lot of clarity that's happening. I'm using my finger as I'm strumming. Sounds great. Didn't really have to do much to that. So for AG2, I'm definitely doing a little bit more on these. So I'm doing some EQ, panning hard left, hard right, and then I also have pure plate on both channels. So the reverb is kind of putting it a little bit further back in the mix, which for a high strung is great because it can kind of get a little brittle and a little sharp sometimes. I don't want it to be super out front. So I threw the reverb on to kind of put it in the back of the mix. So here's AG1 and AG2 together. Sounds great. Moving on to vocal production. So for the Volt 276, I had the 76 compressor set to vocals and definitely allowing them to compress a good bit on the way in. On my chain, I've got the Sentry Tube channel strip. I pulled up this female Vox preset. I didn't use it quite as was, but adjusted some things. Got it to a place I really liked. So this is what it sounds like with the Sentry Tube by itself.
You're such an attention sucker, taking advantage of desperate lovers like.
It sounds great going in. I mean, the SD1 does a great job for pop music. I love it. Really intimate, really kind of punchy sound. And then I've got the Pultec on top of that.
You're such an attention sucker.
Taking out kind of all the low information, all the woofy kind of subby information that doesn't need to be there. Also boosting some high frequency. And then I'm using the Teletronics. This is the Gray 2A. I have this on compression. Got the peaks down about 20. And then gaining it up a good bit.
You're such an attention sucker.
And then I'm using the Legacy Teletronics 2A. And I have this on limiting.
You're such an attention sucker.
So it's kind of doing some brick wall limiting for me.
You're such an attention sucker, taking advantage of desperate lovers like. I wanted you bad and you knew that. I wanted you bad and you.
So that is my lead vocal. I'm going to jump to the wet effects really quick for my lead track. So I've got two different reverbs happening on the lead vocal channel. I've got this long verb that's happening and this small verb that's happening. On the long verb, the pure plate goes up to 5 seconds, which is long. That's already a good amount, but I wanted it to be even longer. So the way I accomplished that was throwing a tape echo on, boosting the feedback, and then running that into my pure plate. And that's giving me some more feedback from the delay, and then that's hitting the reverb, and it just makes it sound like a really huge chamber or cavern or like a cave, basically.
You're such an attention sucker, taking advantage of desperate lovers like.
And because it's got this delay happening, it almost kind of stays out of the way of the dry vocal.
You're such an attention sucker, taking.
And then I've got this small verb. All I'm doing with that is the pure plate. I've got this low cut up all the way, taking out some of the low information. And then I have it just really short reverb time.
You're such an attention sucker.
So it's just a small, almost room sound.
You're such an attention sucker.
So that with the long verbs sounds fantastic. So that's my lead vocal. Let me move over to my harmonies really quick. So I have these in a group. This is what it sounds like by itself. So these harmonies specifically are almost like ad-lib type harmonies. And I basically copied my vocal chain from the lead vocal and just put it on each channel of my BGVs. And for the wet effects, I'm setting that to its own reverb. I've got this medium reverb happening. And on the medium reverb, I'm using the pure plate again. I've got that set to about 3.5 seconds. And then for these other BGVs I've got down here, these are kind of more of my traditional BGVs and harmonies. So these by itself sound great as well. Again, doing the same thing, copied the channel strip from my lead vocal and threw it on all these BGVs. And I'm also sending that to my medium reverb bus. So that with my dub or like kind of choppy BGVs. With the lead vocal. Sounds amazing. So for my drums, I literally only have 2 layers. I've got this kick, which I'm using shape again. It's in the drums section right here. There's this kit called Vinyl Hip Hop Kit. And then I've got the cutoff almost all the way down. So it's just kind of the sub information, but it's a nice punchy sound. So here it is by itself. And then for the ride, again, using shape, and I've got this analog DM kit pulled up, or analog drum machine kit. And I'm actually using the same sample, but I'm using 2 different parts. So on this first part right here, I've got it panned all the way to the left, and I've got it detuned down 1. And then on the right, I'm just using the sample just as it comes. So it's kind of giving me a stereo ride sound. This is what it sounds like by itself. Sounds great. So the drums all by themselves. And to get that side chain effect, yeah, you could side chain a compressor to the kick drum and, do it that way. But what I did is I actually used the velocity tool, and I just, every other one or every hit where the kick is hitting, I just bump the velocity down. So yeah, there you go. Your side chain is kind of built in with velocity. So just to reiterate, I am only using plugins from the UAD Essentials Edition bundle. So just so we can hear what it sounds like before that processing, this is what it sounds like.
You're such an attention sucker, taking advantage of desperate lovers' lives. I wanted you bad and you
And here's the plugins turned back on.
I wanted you bad and you used that. Don't waste more
Here it is off.
time like a damsel collateral.
There's just no sauce. There's no vibe. Here it is.
I wanted you bad and you knew that. I wanted you bad. I wanted you bad and you used that. I wanted you bad.
It's fantastic. So with the source material that I've tracked using the Volt 276 and the light mixing I've done with the UAD Essentials Edition bundle, I've got a really vibrant and cohesive track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually send this to my publisher, maybe get some mix revisions, some tweaks, and let's see if we can get this thing synced. yourself to like a TV show or a film or something. And there we have it, a full track produced from start to finish using just the Universal Audio Volt 276, the SD1 and SP1 microphones, not to mention Luna and the UAD Essentials Edition bundle. It's incredible how much you can accomplish with this setup. Every element of this track was shaped by the tools we use today, from the crystal clear recordings to the polished final production mix. I hope this video showed you just how powerful and versatile the gear really is. Whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just starting out. If you enjoyed this process or learned something new, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to follow me at John Strandell on Instagram. Peace.